Hello, and welcome to the Blackadelic Black Atlantic Artist Showcase, hosted by the People of Color Psychedelic Collective. The People of Color Psychedelic Collective is a volunteer run organization that seeks to educate our community on the healing properties of psychedelics and the abolition of the war on drugs. My name is Ife Tayo Harvey, and as founder of the People of Color Psychedelic Collective, I'm excited to present to you an array of artists, performers, and creators who put in a lot of time and hard work to make this event happen. I also want to give a special thank you to my friend and colleague, Dr. Thomas Stanley, known to many of you as Bushmeat Sound. Thomas carefully curated this event, and without him, this wouldn't have been possible. Today, you'll see a number of performances and creative efforts inspired by the psychedelic experience. We welcome any and all donations as they help us sustain our work. And so, with that said, welcome to Blackadelic Black Atlantic. We hope that you stay tuned, enjoy the show, and support our work. Thanks.
Thank you, Ife Tayo, and welcome to what we hope will be a stimulating night of cultural expression that will leave you able to answer in the affirmative the next time someone raises the question, are you experienced? That question was the title of Jimi Hendrix's debut solo album released in May of 1967. Jimi Hendrix was an unsurpassed icon of the so-called psychedelic era, that spasm of countercultural activity that engulfed the 60s and 70s. Black Jimi, Cherokee Jimi, is a damn good starting place for our time together, as he is a stunning example of the powerful place of black and indigenous people within any decolonized discourse of psychedelic practice. What we see in Jimi is a young cultural warrior who found in psychedelics both a catalyst for pushing his art form beyond mortal limits and an open book of inspirational lessons on the deep social and psychological transformations that he thought necessary to liberate his people and save our dying world. The 7 artists who've been invited to build this evening's showcase have also had their creative capacities expanded through the doors, the open doors of perception. They've built experiences for you that promise to transform consciousness and pave the path towards liberation. There's something dangerously corrupt about a society whose founding documents enshrine your right to own a gun, but whose criminal courts can throw you in prison for possessing a plant. And there's something disturbingly suspicious about a free society that loudly denounces the burning of any book while banning certain plants precisely because of the information they are able to share with us. This isn't a laughing matter. This isn't kid stuff. Not for us. The May 6th police raid on a Rio de Janeiro favela that killed dozens and wounded scores was a drug interdiction operation. And black folks in Washington, D.C. are still getting busted for reefer, even after its widely publicized decriminalization. Throughout the course of the evening, you're going to see links to digital payment options that will allow you to support the work of the People of Color Psychedelic Collective to disentangle our people from the nefarious effects of the continuing drug war and to educate our communities about the exciting opportunities opening up for applying this wisdom for health, personal discovery, and trauma abatement. Now let's get on with tonight's show. We're billing these videotape sets as non-local asynchronous collaborations. The first pairs bassist, composer, and bandleader Luke Stewart with writer Afrofuturist and housing law advocate Rasheedah Phillips. Kick back and enjoy, and remember, a mind is a wonderful thing to taste.
Yesterday and yourself tomorrow, or as far ahead or behind as you wish. Your images in the mirror should morph the further back or forward you look. To conclude the exercise, count backwards from 10 to 1. When you get to 1, you will be fully back in the present. coming from outside the room. Then choose your upright to form a right angle. Use your clock and place it in front of the mirror before you. Set the clock 3 minutes back. Repeat the words, whoever, where have I been? Into the mirror, over and over, until you no longer recognize the words. If you take each reflection to your left as the past, and reflections to your right as the future, and use each reflection to signify one day, see yourself yesterday, see yourself tomorrow, whereas far ahead and behind as you wish. Your images in the mirror should remember to further back what you look like. To improve the exercise, turn backwards to reflect on what begin to what you have and wake up.
Wow. Thank you, Rasheedah and Luke. Rasheedah and her partner in Black Quantum Futurism, Kame Ayewa, were recently awarded a prestigious residency at the CERN Super Collider in Switzerland. All right. Well, we're off to a fine start. Speaking of beginnings, I started working with People of Color Psychedelic Collective after being asked to sit on a panel at the organization's 2019 conference in Washington. It was an incredible weekend of skills building and real talk, but most importantly for many of us, it was our last opportunity to be in the presence of Baba Kalindi Yi, arguably the most well-known Afrocentric psychonaut in the world. You see, Brother Terence McKenna taught that a heroic dose of psilocybin mushrooms was on the order of 5 grams. Baba Kalindi's research had shown him that the most profound and beneficial effects of this neuronally active fungus didn't kick in until much higher doses upwards of 50, 60, 70 grams of dried psilocybin mushrooms. Baba Kalindi was a Detroit-based community builder and world-traveled educator on the African history of psychedelic practice. Up close, I found the black belt martial artist to be warm, insightful, and funny in an understated sort of way. By any account, Kalindi Yi was a valuable member of our community. He was an elder, and he was also an early casualty of this cursed pandemic. During the Q&A following our panel, Baba Kalindi shared his thoughts on psychedelics as an ontological catalyst.
Good afternoon. My name is Kalindi Iyi. You keep working from the illusion or delusion that this society is broke. This society is not broke. Everything that exists here is on purpose. Yes. And this generation, as the previous generations, are manufactured. I go all over the world and do this. And the same thing that they say in Prague is the same thing being said here. I'm not interested in people of color going to the University of San Francisco. Why do you give the chickens to the fox? University this, university that. Get my degree. I want to be a PhD facilitator for psychedelics. That's not how psychedelics are done. Psychedelics organize the community. The community don't organize psychedelics. The difficulty and the problem is with this is that you all aren't taking the doses. There are few people on this earth, I'm gonna say it again, there are few people on this earth that have had a genuine psychedelic experience. You're playing with this because you're scared, and there's nothing wrong with being that, but we have to be bold. If you're gonna go into the future, if you're gonna produce the singularity that will take us out of the human into the next phase of what we're gonna be, you're not gonna do it inside of this thing. You have to evolve out of this thing. Meaning that the human being that you think you are, psychedelics have the encoded information to take you out of the human. It intercalates into the DNA when you take it at the proper doses. Now, if you want to sit here and you want to play with this thing and be the Psychedelic Society of Chicago and the People's Psychedelic Society of Boston and the Psychedelic Society of Detroit and all these different things, all saying the same thing, all not moving, it's about you individually, in the dark, taking the dose to be able to become something more, because that is the purpose of the psychedelics. It's not medicine. Medicine, you're going in automatically saying, I'm sick. And many of you are sick, and many of us are sick. I'm not divorcing myself from it, but what I'm saying is this. The first and fundamental purpose of the entheogen, the psychedelic, the hallucinogen, is to breach the dimensions that we are in now and move into the hyperdimensional, extra-dimensional, ultra-dimensional, dimensions that can give us the ability to be able to become something more. It's about becoming something more and greater.
Thank you, Baba Kalindi. You are and will be missed. You know, I co-authored a book about Funkadelic. George Clinton told me that they did so much acid during the early 70s that it stopped working. There's nothing that original or profound about the title we're working under tonight. Blackadelic is obviously an allusion to the African embrace of the psychedelic revelation. And the Black Atlantic is Paul Gilroy's widely applied theoretical construct for the dispersion of African genetic and cultural influence throughout the Americas and the Caribbean. This was not, for the most part, a self-determined dispersal of influence, at least not the part that occurred after Columbus. When we talk about people and their repressed right to self-determination, we are talking about what really unites us as people of color. White supremacy has never been about skin color. Not at all. It's not about hair texture or nose shape or eye shape or any of the other biological markers of race. It is about the enduring legacy of an organized crime called imperialism that swallowed the self-determination of people around the world, in Asia, in the Americas, and in Africa. This is what unites us, not some vapid colorism, but colonialism, the original sin of modernity. POC should always imply people of colonialism, right? Next up, we have a set that brings together my favorite abstract expressionist painter, an upcoming master player in the idiom of free jazz, and an underground hip-hop producer who trained alongside and was mentored by the legendary late Rasheedah. Here's Discipline 99, Jamal Moore and Khalid Thompson teaming up on a session called Ghetto Sci-Fi. Don't forget to use those links at the bottom of the screen. It's how you can help the POC Psychedelic Collective decolonize the important life-saving psychedelic work being done in our time.
until somebody starts shooting.
Thank you, brothers, for that blistering Blackadelic funk. Now we're getting somewhere. I'm starting to feel that lift, if you know what I mean. I first met Onyx Ashanti at the Allied Media Conference in Detroit in 2015. I was actually traveling with Luke and Jamal. We performed at the conference and again in Chicago a couple of days later. I'm not sure how Onyx's workshop was titled, but he talked about his musical exoskeleton and John Coltrane and psychedelic mushrooms and information theory. Ada Pinkston has crafted and appears in the majority of the video featured in this, our last set. I met her through Jamal. They're both from Baltimore. Her future-themed cinematic art was presented while the instrumentalist improvised a musical set. I was immediately impressed by her clean, potent visual vocabulary and the sense that her work was provocative and relevant. We also have a different set of recitations from Rasheedah Phillips, who you heard open our program. Let's check it out.
Facticity means a thing can only take on the feature of being a fact, of being real, of being true, or part of reality when it has been pinpointed to the linear timeline and assigned a date. Measurements produce facts. Predictions are about possible future events. Facticity means a thing can only take on the feature of being a fact, of being real, of being true, or part of reality when it has been pinpointed to the linear timeline and assigned a date. Anything that cannot be pinpointed to a date on the calendar and a time on a clock is not considered real, factual, eventual, or as having happened. The word derives from Latin factum, an event, occurrence, deed, achievement. In medieval Latin, also state, condition, circumstance, literally thing done. And from the 1630s, a fact is a thing known to be true and something that has actually occurred. In order for freedom for Black people to become fact by definition, an event or a truth, a measurement had to be made, a date and a time assigned that would mark it upon the Western timeline. The nature of the two primary freedom days that we recognize, January 1st, June 19th, as historical fact, marking a freedom date, and the idea that on either day Black people became liberated, demonstrates the fallacy of facticity. It is the evidence of time being out of sync with liberation of Black people on a Western timeline where time is measured by observing facts. Progress and accumulation of facts or points on a linear timeline always comes at the expense of Black lives. The goal of linear Western time is always to lock Black bodies out of the future. Our freedom from bondage and white terrorism via slavery was declared in a written document, but still we had to wait for it. Wait for the violence of war to end. Wait for the master's clock to stroke midnight on January 1. Wait for Lincoln to sign the proclamation. Wait for the information to travel. Wait for the sun to rise on June 19th. Wait to escape. Wait for General Granger to leave Louisiana and march upon Galveston with troops and read General Order Number 3. Before liberation could become fact, before freedom could become truth. The ritual of watch nights and freedom days ties waiting time and political time together. Black people have always needed to be vigilant of political and institutional time, an intimate understanding of how it moves. We've always needed to navigate white Western timelines as our ancestors did the stars. We have always needed to be vigilant when it comes to the time of the legislative process, voting times, politician times, many other times in which time does violence or is not aligned with lived times and realities, attuned to the ways in which the Western linear timeline is openly hostile to Black bodies, openly denying us access to our own futures. Waiting time is an inherently complicated matter for Black people, problematizing the question of whether any of us are free until all of us are free. What if we don't? What if we can't? What if we don't even know that all of us aren't free? We continuously make time bends and time mutations that allow us to escape points on a Western timeline as a means of survival. And maybe we will never know if, when we are collectively liberated. We get pulled out of one portal, sucked into another. What does it mean to be emancipated, pulled out of the portal of slavery, only to be pulled back in by indentured servitude, by redlining, by forced sterilization, by police murder, while giving birth, while sleeping, while playing, while protesting, while... For certain communities, individuals' identities. Pandemic time is not new, it's now. We are always in a time of crisis. Many of us live with an ever-present sense of urgency, an anxiety, a gravity, a waiting time that ties us down to the Western timeline. World-changing decisions are made every day on this timeline that permanently impact Black people's lives, health, job prospects, their futures, cutting their timeline short. While many have made the point that the pandemic has exposed or laid bare inequity and broad system failure, these inequities have always been plain, raw, bare, have been purposely ignored by white people and those in power until it becomes fashionable or profitable to hashtag Black Lives Matter. It is telling that we should have to proclamate our existence and beg for our lives to matter, to have gravity, to beg to not to die is to beg to be weighted on the timeline. To matter is to gain access to the future, waiting time.
Many of us experience time as non-linear, interconnected, are aware of the ever-present and overlapping nature of 1919, 1968, 2019, 1964, 1619, 1921, 2020, 2014, 1919. How are we marking the interpretation of times of Black massacres and Black resistance? How do we recover and count everybody? Wade in the water is a Negro spiritual said to contain codes, symbols, geographical directions. It was one of the many songs Harriet Tubman would sing when transporting liberation seekers on the Underground Railroad. Wade in the water meant to get off the path and wait in the water in order to cover their scent from bloodhounds. The word time itself derives from the word tide, which has its etymological roots in a Sanskrit word for division, to cut up, to tide, to flood, as in the time of high water. This context of water as time further affirms Wade in the water as a technology to hack the European time stream. Wading or wading in the water was an act in a war for liberation that created a temporary time portal, a vortex of protection. To wade in the water, to stop, to rest against the current, to submerge the master's clock was a revolutionary act within the revolutionary act of escape. So what does it mean for us to wade in the water right now?
Bushmeat has been doing this Afrofuturism thing since before the term was coined. Decades ago, when me and my generation of cohorts lined up to board the P-Funk mothership, we weren't just singing about purple haze. It was all a part of the same thing. This fantabulous, technological future lay just over the horizon, with human minds enlarged enough to accommodate the justice that was so hard to find back in the day when me and Jimi Hendrix kissed the sky together. It is all about justice, setting things right, and not letting them get so drastically fucked up in the first place. We must peel away everything we've ever done, everything we've ever believed, everything we've ever been, until we get to a clean starting point, a starting point of justice. Not justice like one cop maybe going to jail for killing one black man because the whole thing was so nauseatingly over the top, and some steely-nerved 17-year-old with a steady hand captured the whole thing in HD. But the real justice, the one where people don't destroy each other, and armed troops don't roam the streets in a losing effort to maintain social control. Mother Earth has gifted us. Our bodies and their brute electrochemical truth have gifted us with many viable methods for accomplishing this paring away, this peeling back of what is false, of what is unjust. And this is why this collective is fighting for your psychedelic rights, your autonomy of mind and body. We thank you for your support, and we encourage you to go over to our Facebook page where we've set up a little market of sorts. There you'll be able to buy recordings, books, and some of Baba Khalid's paintings, including the one that was done as part of Jamal and Discipline 99's set. Thanks again to Ife Tayo, Harvey, and all the other members of POC Psychedelic Collective. Thanks to Ada, Luke, Malik, Jamal, Onyx, Rasheedah, and Khalid. And thanks to our editor and live stream engineer, Doug. That's going to do it for Bushmeat. Catch you in the whirlwind. Peace.